Hey, good morning, Michael here. You know, inevitably each night when guests are having dinner together, I always hear the same conversation. But the context of the conversation is usually there's 2 or 3 customers who are just having a bang up fantastic day. And then usually there's a couple of customers through the week who are not having a great successful trip. And so the question is always to the people who are catching a lot of fish, well, what fly are you using? It's just a natural question because we're all making the assumption that we're all in the same skill levels. So obviously the only differentiating issue is what fly they're using. Now, the reason why I'm telling you this, that couple's caught a fish while I'm trying to do a video here. The reason why I'm telling you this is of all the places I've fished, and I fish all around the world, I would say that the fly choice, as long as you're within a 3.5 to 5 inch long streamer selection, as long as you're fishing something within that size, the fly is probably the least of your concerns. I would say as you're putting together the puzzle here of what is making a successful day and what is making these fish trigger and what's making you catch a lot of fish, when you're putting that puzzle together, honestly, the fly selection is about 10% of that process. 90% of it is presentation. So this is probably a strange way to start a favorite fly presentation, but it's just, I don't want you to be overly obsessed with fly pattern. Let me just show you what happened here. A dolphin just ate our fish. Nice job, Compass. So I just don't want you to obsess about flies. And I say that because I've been doing this many, many years, and it is just very common for people to be overly obsessed with flies, what pattern they're using. And I just want you to have confidence in your presentation, and then you could really fish whatever fly you want. That said, within the context, but that said, let me just show you a handful of our favorite confident flies. These are our confidence flies. These are the ones the guides reach for first. These are the ones who, the guests who fish with us year after year after year, this is what's in their box. And you know, there are a lot of folks out there that are experts on Amazon jungle fishing, and I would just say, look at their agenda. Many of them are just trying to sell you a pattern or sell you a product. My full agenda here is for you to catch a lot of fish. So that's where I'm coming from. All right, let's start off with just a couple of the classics. You know, flashtail whistler is a fantastic fly. Umpqua makes a good one. If you are your own tyer, these are very easy to tie, and I would recommend probably using a little better hook than what Umpqua offers their flies in. But if you're able to tie your own, some good custom colors would be orange and yellow, red and yellow would be fantastic. Red and white's really, really good. All white is really good. And then I would say green and white or chartreuse and white would be really good choices. This is an excellent fly. You see how Umpqua's has a lot of flash on it. In my opinion, that's about 90% too much flash for our fisheries. And the reason why I say that is the flash really attracts the piranha. So, you know, you're spending $10 on a fly and it can literally last you about 3 casts and then it's cut in half. That can happen. So the ones that we custom tie, see how there's just a little bit of flash, just enough to get their attention. I'm just giving you some notes here. The Umpqua flies are good, but if you have the ability to tie your own or have your shop tie them, these are super easy to tie. So any shop would be happy to tie these for you. Flashtail whistler is a great one. I would prefer to fish this on a floating line, a little longer leader, that just casts really nice and easily with a floating system. The other classic is just a basic deceiver. I know, everybody wants to fish these fancy ultra deluxe, you know, with 20 different materials and giant pulsating feathers for peacock bass. But I'm telling you, if you fished this fly all week, you would catch just as many fish, if not more fish, than the guys chucking the big flies. That's another rabbit trail I'd love to talk to you about, but I'll try to stay on topic here. So deceiver is fantastic, anywhere from a 3 to a 6 inch. Umpqua makes a big game deceiver, and that's one that I fish quite a bit because it's the right size. It's on a 2/0 hook. Red and white is fantastic. Blue and white is a sleeper color. Not many people know about blue and white, but it can be fantastic here. The classic colors are chartreuse and white, and then gray and white are fantastic. Again, if you have the ability to tie your own, my go-to colors, again, hope you're seeing some similarities here. My go-to colors for deceiver, custom deceivers are red and yellow, and then a green and yellow is also fantastic. Hopefully you're seeing some similarities here, some patterns here. A real favorite manufacturer of ours, and one that we support at every possible opportunity, is Enrico Puglisi flies, and I fish these a lot down here. These flies, they hold up, they're super easy to cast. Our fish just eat them like candy. They are absolutely fantastic. Two that I really like is their roosterfish Sardinia pattern. This is designed obviously for Baja, Mexico, but you can take these flies with some markers and customize them to look exactly like some specific bait fish that are real prized bait fish by the peacock bass. They love eating some of these. So again, easy to cast, big profile, but easy to cast. These are big fish flies. Speaking big fish fly, one that's always on my bag here is the baby peacock. And this is a little thicker diameter. It's a little harder to cast than some of these others that I've talked about. But consistently, my biggest fish, for some reason, have always been on this fly. This is a great fly. We call it a baby peacock. It's actually here, our guides think of it as a baby Oscar. They call it a cara, but an Oscar. You don't see a lot of Oscar here. You don't see a lot of small ones, but when you do, the fish just tend to eat them fast. So I would highly recommend the baby peacock. And then for 2 years running, our number one most productive fly for numbers and for big fish has been the Amazon SP. It is just outstanding. It seems like in our Rio de Lua fisheries and the Tatuajum fisheries, the chartreuse seems to be really number one. In our Rio Negro and Guatemala in the past, by far the peach. Literally our last season in the Guatemala, 50% of the fish that we caught in the entire season were caught on this fly. That should tell you something. Fish this one with confidence. It catches small fish and it catches huge fish. That's a really good one. And again, you can see some similarities in our colors. I don't fish a lot of poppers. Let me rephrase that. I fish poppers in the morning and I fish poppers in the evening, but I don't fish a lot of patterns. I fish one pattern. A really common mistake that I see guests make, especially the industry guys that come down and fish with us, is they're fishing giant poppers. And I'm just telling you, we may have never met, but I'm just going to tell you now, you can't cast that popper. Nobody can cast those poppers. I have industry guys who bring tons of them and they can't cast them. And they can cast them once or twice, but after that, they're just done. And honestly, our fish don't eat them. Where we're fishing, our fish just don't eat those giant poppers. So just be encouraged. Honestly, a best popper here would be a largemouth bass popper, like a big boogle bug. The problem with that is that those hooks are not strong enough for our peacock bass. A 4-pound peacock bass would straighten a boogle bug hook. So what I fish with a lot is a crease fly. And this is a fantastic fly because it floats, it has rattle, it's the right depth, it's the right length, it makes the right amount of noise, it's fairly easy to cast. It certainly is easier to cast than a really large popper, but the biggest advantage, and the reason why I fish this one a lot, is this is a saltwater hook. This will hold up to all of our fish. And so I really recommend a crease fly. And there's two ways you can fish it. I would fish it on a floating line and just pop it. These don't pop as well as some of the other poppers out there, but it just jumps all around, and it's an outstanding fly. Another way to fish is actually on a sinking line, like an intermediate sink tip or a slow 200 grain tip, and you cast it out there and let the line just pull it down. And as you strip it in, it'll come back up and it just flutters. But crease fly is a good way to go. So as you see, it's not a huge list of flies. You literally can just have a handful of flies, and we don't go through a lot of flies down here. I would say if you're tying your own, I would bring 2 or 3 dozen for the week, which would be fine. And I would pick 4 or 5 of your favorite patterns and go deep in those patterns. I wouldn't bring like 1 or 2 of each pattern and fill a whole box, because 1 or 2 of those will really be your favorites and then you'll be out. It's just how things work here. Just pick some real favorites, get a bunch of deceivers, bunch of whistlers. If you could do some half and halves, if you're familiar with that pattern, that is outstanding. In low water, we like to do a deceiver. In deeper water, heavier, when we're way back into the jungle in deeper water, if the waters come up, we'll fish some of those lead head clousers or whistlers or half and half. So hope that helps. Thanks so much.